Seagal hosted Saturday Night Live's 18th episode of Season 16 on April 20, 1991. David Spade, Tim Meadows, and executive producer Lorne Michaels all agreed that Seagal was the show's worst host in history. They bemoaned Seagal's lack of comedic timing, his nasty treatment of the writers and cast, and his refusal to do a Hans and Franz comedy due to the character's previous threats to physically assault him. The producers of the show have never invited Seagal to return. According to Meadows, he failed to understand that insulting someone on Wednesday will make them reluctant to write for you on Saturday. Even though an entire season had gone by since Seagal's debut, Michaels continued to make light of it during guest host Nicolas Cage's monologue in the September 26, 1992, opening of Season 18 of Saturday Night Live. Michaels comforted Cage, "No, that would be Steven Seagal," as Cage was anxious about doing poorly. However, controversy surrounding Seagal continued beyond that point. Christine Keeve, Nicole Sellinger, and Rayan Malone were accused of sexual harassment by Seagal in May 1991 while they were working for Warner Brothers on the set of Out for Justice. Malone and another woman earned approximately $50,000 apiece in an out-of-court deal for their quiet. Released in 1992, Under Siege catapulted Seagal to superstardom. Andrew Davis, the director, and he worked together once again. The critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes was that the film was an expertly crafted action flick that made good use of its constrained location. That wasn't the end for the famous website. It keeps going. Under Siege is a highlight of early 90s action and one of Seagal's better films. Of all Seagal's films, only Under Siege has a positive review score on Rotten Tomatoes. Seagal was also accused at around the same time by no less than 4 women of making sexual advances, most notably during late-night casting sessions. Meanwhile, Jenny McCarthy said that while she was trying out for Under Siege 2, Seagal asked her to take her clothes off. There was also an attack on Seagal's marital life. Arissa was their 3rd child, born in 1993 to him and his wife. Still, LeBrock divorced the next year, claiming they couldn't get over their differences. On Deadly Ground 1994, which Seagal co-wrote and co-starred in, had supporting parts from Michael Caine, Arlie Ermey, and Billy Bob Thornton. Not using his typical tough guy attitude, this film bombed at the box office. Seagal considers it a turning point in his career, even though he received negative reviews, especially during his long environmental lecture. He also broke a contract and was the target of severe sexual harassment that year. Seagal was sued by Cheryl Schumann, who claimed he had threatened and physically attacked her on the set of On Deadly Ground. But a Los Angeles judge dismissed the lawsuit in August of that year, finding the accusations to be unreasonable and vague. Executive Decision, starring Kurt Russell, was released in 1996 and included Seagal. Portraying a special operations soldier was limited to the opening 45 minutes of the film. Bill Daly, a former VP of Warner Brothers, claims that Seagal took the role as recompense for the loss of his director's income that occurred as a result of On Deadly Ground's overspending. The Glimmer Man, a police drama, starred him that year as well. Seagal continued his theme of being ecologically responsible in Fire Down Below, playing the role of an agent from the EPA's Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance against corporations that dump hazardous garbage in the hills of Kentucky. Seagal was initiated as a tulku in February 1997 by Lama Panur Rinpoche of Palol Monastery for his devotion to the Buddha. He was recognized as the spiritual successor of Chengdrag Dorji, a Turton from the 17th century who had the power to unveil mysteries within the 9 lineage, the first school of Tibetan Buddhism. Upon initial skepticism, Panur Rinpoche subsequently validated the announcement. In the period after, Seagal was forthright about his devotion to Buddhism, saying that he devolves deeply into the teachings of this ancient Eastern faith. On the other hand, he made an appearance in 1998's The Patriot when he played a doctor who was trying to stop the spread of a fatal virus that an extreme group had released. Production took place on and around Seagal's Montana farm, and he funded the film entirely using his own cash. With 1999's Prince of Central Park, Seagal explored uncharted ground by depicting a child's existence in New York City's famous park. The film was unexpectedly tender. In the same year, he was also honored with the PETA Humanitarian Award. Seagal returned to the big screen in March 2001 with the release of Exit Wounds, following the completion of Prince of Central Park. Despite featuring fewer action sequences than Seagal's previous works, the film was a box office smash, grossing about $80 million worldwide. It was widely believed to be Seagal's comeback picture, but his subsequent two films bombed at the box office. The San Francisco shoot for Ticker, starring Tom Sizemore and Dennis Hopper, took place prior to Exit Wounds. Half Past Dead, starring Ja Rule, failed to earn more than $20 million globally and was instead released straight to DVD. During this low point, Seagal tied the knot with Mongolian El Batsuk. El became recognized as Mongolia's greatest female dancer, particularly in ballroom dancing, after training at the Children's Palace in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. She went on to become a professional dancer and won multiple events. During Seagal's 2001 tour to Mongolia, she met him while working as his interpreter. They were married and had a son, Kun Zong. With his 4 partnerships, Seagal now has 7 children in all. On top of that, he was still the one responsible for protecting the only child of Tibet's 10th Panchen Lama, Yabshepen Rinzin Wangbo. Seagal protected him while he was a student in America. Seagal still had a legion of action movie fans, even though his box office success waned in the mid-1990s. Steven Seagal is well known for his work in acting, producing, and mixed martial arts. His legacy lives on in the enduring classics that he created for the entertainment business, which continue to captivate audiences across the globe. Seagal has other talents besides being a musician. He was also a deputy sheriff in the past, and nothing was known about his private life, even though he was a real-life action movie star with a fiery personality and explosive performances. It seemed like Seagal had finally established himself as a major action star with hits like Hard to Kill and Under Siege. Fans were confused about what had become of the once popular action figure when Seagal abruptly stopped appearing in films. Let's go into Steven Seagal's life and all the hidden secrets about his ups and downs. The son of Samuel Seagal and Patricia Ann Fisher, Stephen Frederick Seagal came into this world in Lansing, Michigan on April 10, 1952. Patricia worked as a medical technician and Samuel taught mathematics. Additionally, Samuel and Patricia were related through the Jewish, English, German, and Dutch lines, as well as the Irish and Russian ones. As a child, he was weaker than average due to his asthma. The family's relocation to Fullerton, California when Seagal was 5 years old was fortunate for his health. According to family accounts, he was a small child in Michigan, but he flourished once they relocated. Even at the tender age of 5, Seagal had insight that no one else had. He aspired to master the art of martial arts. After recovering, Seagal began studying in karate under Fumio Demura at the age of 7, marking the beginning of his martial arts journey. He started training in Aikido in the 1960s in Orange County, California, under the tutelage of Harry Ishizaka. From 1970 to 1971, Seagal attended Fullerton College after graduating from California's Buena Park High School. Meet Miyako Fujitani, a second-degree black belt and the daughter of an Aikido teacher from Osaka, Japan, who Seagal crossed paths with in 1974. It was in Los Angeles, where she met Seagal, that she decided to teach Aikido. In the autumn of 1974, I crossed paths with Steven in California. When I returned to Japan in October, he accompanied me. In December 1974, we tied the knot. This is when Seagal first encountered controversy. He reportedly sought to marry a Japanese woman in order to evade enlistment in the Vietnam War, which is why he departed for Japan at the age of 22. His martial arts training took place in Japan. A second dispute erupted because of allegations that Seagal claimed to have learned Aikido from Morihei Ueshiba. Ueshiba passed away in 1969 when Seagal was only 17 years old, thus this couldn't have happened. Because he seemed to frequently make these inflated or entirely fictional claims about his life and accomplishments, this led many to label Seagal as a habitual liar. In 1978, he finally attained the rank of black belt in Aikido. Thirdly, rumors circulated that the black belt he claimed to have obtained was too easy, which sparked a new scandal. The judge, who had a reputation for being sluggish, reportedly slept off during Steven's presentation, which is why he was only awarded the black belt. The judge then presented him with the black belt. It was insignificant because he just began teaching at the school that Miyako's family owned. This is during the period that Seagal said he assisted the CIA in Japan with agent training. My skills in martial arts and the language were evident to them. I suppose you could say that I became something of a field advisor to a number of CIA agents. Along with meeting influential people and doing favors for them, my CIA friends introduced me to many others. On the other hand, his wife disputed Seagal's assertions that he was fighting the Yakuza and denied the accusations. Her distaste for her husband was evident. To tell the truth, there is zero evidence linking Seagal to any CIA operations. Despite the marital strife, Seagal and his wife had two successful children, actor and model Kentaro and actress and writer Ayako. While Seagal was in Japan, the chief Aikido master had him open a dojo in the country's northern region. Seagal was a Shinto priest and the first non-Japanese person to head an Aikido school in Japan because of this. Returning to the United States after 15 years in Japan was Seagal's decision. Seagal to become a famous actor. In order to send money home to her husband, his wife worked tirelessly and saved up for years, even giving up some of the items her family needed. On the other hand, she thought he had merely walked away after stealing her money. Miyako granted him a divorce since he started seeing another woman during this time. In 1983, Seagal and Haruo Matsuoka, one of his older students, arrived in the United States. They co-founded an Aikido school in North Hollywood and subsequently relocated it to West Hollywood. In the same year that his divorce was not finalized, Seagal had a short marriage to actress Adrienne LaRussa, but it was annulled. He devoted a great deal of time to training there, and he is now a 7th Dan Aikido black belt. In addition to his work with Sheriff Harry Lee in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, Seagal also took on other projects, such as serving as a consultant for the police force there. Lee made a firm commitment to Seagal, asking him to instruct his troops in shooting and martial arts. In return, Seagal became a reserve deputy under Lee's command. He delegated responsibility of the dojo to Matsuoka so that he could focus on teaching high-rolling clients due to his many commitments. Even MMA star Lyoto Machida of Brazil owes a debt of gratitude to Seagal for teaching him the front kick that ultimately led to his knockout victories in several bouts. The key that opened the door to Hollywood for him was his dealings with these renowned and rich clientele. It was Michael Ovitz who, due to Seagal's intimidating good looks, saw his star potential. Convinced that he could make anyone a movie star, Ovitz was Seagal's former Aikido pupil turned agent. Seagal wed the beautiful Kelly Librock in 1987, as his transformation into a cinematic star was underway. Dominic, Annalisa, and Arissa, their daughters, were born of their marriage. Seagal began filming Above the Law, his directorial debut, in 1988. Not only did it get good reviews from critics, but action movie fans went crazy for it. Seagal became the first American film to feature Aikido in combat scenes with Above the Law. Famous action heroes like Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, and Jean-Claude Van Damme had quite distinct approaches to martial arts. While Seagal's Aikido centered on evading attacks, these people only wanted to hit one another, so they trained in striking disciplines like karate and Tang Sudo. In addition, he established a fashion trend in his films that features fashionable Italian attire, typically an all-black ensemble paired with a 3/4-length coat adorned with accents. On top of that, Seagal's on-screen personas often appeared to be easy pickings in combat. But when it comes time to defend themselves, they reveal their real selves and thrash the bad guys. Although it has 50% more story than is necessary, the fact that it explores territory not typically explored in action thrillers allowed his debut film to earn $18,869,631 in the US, according to renowned reviewer Roger Ebert. Following Above the Law, Seagal became famous as an action hero thanks to his roles in the critically acclaimed and commercially successful films Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, and Out for Justice. Many people spoke highly of his fighting style. Because of his singularity of thought and his ability to be physically and metaphorically charming, Mr. Seagal stands out. Seagal followed 1989's Above the Law with another nail-biting thriller, Hard to Kill. Here he portrays a police officer who is attacked by a crowd and then falls into a coma, only to wake up and get revenge. Moreover, LeBrock Seagal's wife appeared in the picture. It was 1991, and he had already played the lead in 4 films. Although Seagal was no stranger to controversy, he did find himself in a bit of a jam. Word on the street is that he acts just like he does on TV. One example is when Sean Connery told Jay Leno that Seagal injured his wrist while coordinating the battle scenes in the James Bond film Never Say Never Again. The fact that Connery's wrist had still not completely healed years after the damage inflicted by Seagal was indicative of the severity of the harm. From Seagal's meeting with John Leguizamo was anything from a misstep. Executive Decision was filmed in 1996, and Leguizamo recalled Seagal's entrance on set in an interview. He proclaimed, "I'm in command upon Seagal's arrival. My words are a statute. When Seagal physically assaulted Leguizamo, he hit him with an Aikido elbow that sent him flying into a brick wall, further exacerbating the situation, in spite of Leguizamo's bewilderment and interrogation. That Seagal didn't seem to care. Reportedly incensed by Leguizamo's portrayal of Seagal in Ghetto Clown, Seagal threatened to attack Leguizamo if the two ever crossed paths on the red carpet. Leguizamo was undeterred by the threat and made the statement that Seagal was probably not present at many red carpet events. He couldn't believe Seagal had become such an obnoxious, unlikable character. It is known that Seagal was also interested in activism, notwithstanding this critique of Seagal's character. Medicine Lake Video, a video seeking to preserve the sacred tribal area near Seagal's ranch in Siskiyou County, featured him as the voice of the narrator. The abuse of infant elephants was another issue he addressed in an open letter he sent to the Thai government in 2003. Aside from movies and martial arts, Seagal loves to play guitar. He has a huge collection which includes guitars that were once owned by legendary musicians like Jimi Hendrix, B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Freddie King. Next, in 2004, he surprised listeners with songs from The Crystal Cave, his debut album that fused pop, world, country, and blues. Along with Stevie Wonder, Tony Rebel, Lady Saw, and Lieutenant Stitchie, he also cooperated with them. The 2005 film Into the Sun, directed by Seagal, included a soundtrack that included many tracks from the album. The album also has a music video for the track Girl It's Alright, which was released as a single in multiple countries. In April 2006, Seagal's second studio album, Mojo Priest, was released. Following that, in the summer of 2006, he and his band Thunderbox toured the US and Europe to promote the album. Seagal had a rough go of it with the Gambino criminal family and Julius R. Nasso, a film producer, from 2006 until 2008 when Nasso tried to blackmail him. A number of Seagal's films were produced by Nasso, and Nasso felt that Seagal owed him $3 million. After that, he threatened Seagal with Gambino family members who testified against him. After entering a guilty plea, Nasso was sentenced to prison for his role in an extortion conspiracy. In 2008, Seagal and Nasso reached a settlement to end their case. Steven Seagal Lawman, a reality show that debuted on the AE network in 2009, followed Seagal as he served as a deputy in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. Seagal frequently had small or supporting parts despite having top billing in her direct-to-video films that were released in the 2010s. Many others, including Force of Execution, did the same thing. Even though critics had praised Seagal's involvement in the films, they also noted how little he actually did in them. After Seagal was hit with a sexual trafficking lawsuit on April 14, 2010, the series was shelved by Jefferson Parish Sheriff Newell Normand. Nonetheless, the suit was subsequently dropped. The show's second season premiered on E! Seagal took the oath of office as a deputy sheriff in October 2011 for the Texas Sheriff's Department in charge of the Hudspeth County, which is accountable for the monitoring of a 98-mile section of the border between Texas and Mexico. True Justice, an American action TV series that Seagal produced and starred in that year, aired. Jesus Sanchez Rivera sued Seagal on August 30, 2011 over the raid on Rivera's Maricopa County residence that Seagal was involved in. It was believed that the cockfighting-related raid, which was documented for Seagal's reality show, Steven Seagal Lawman, involved heavy weaponry, including an army surplus tank. Lavera demanded an apology letter from Seagal and $100,000 in damages for the raid's devastation, as well as for the shooting death of their 11-month-old puppy. Nevertheless, Lavera was found not guilty in January 2013 because she did not present the necessary court paperwork. Seagal advocated for the easing of U.S. import regulations on Russian sporting weapons and supported a Russian firm named Orsis as the months passed. Additionally, he intended to work with Orsis to develop a unique long-range rifle, which Steven Seagal had tentatively dubbed Orsis. Among the great living international leaders, Seagal lauded Russian President Vladimir Putin, whom he spoke highly of. Additionally, he spoke out in favor of Russia's acquisition of Crimea. The August Blues Festival in Haapsalu, Estonia did not include Seagal in their lineup in July 2014 due to boycott demands. Members of parliament include Marko Mihkelson, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee, Estonian artist Toomas Mägi, and Minister of Foreign Affairs Urmas Paet all voiced their disapproval of Seagal's invitation to the nation. The majority of the world, which cherishes democracy and the rule of law, finds Steven Seagal's recent political involvement intolerable, according to Paet. At a Night Wolves concert in Sevastopol, Crimea, in August 2014, Seagal supported the annexation of Crimea and painted a picture of fascists ruling over Ukraine. It was on November 3rd that Putin bestowed Russian citizenship upon Seagal. Ukraine barred him from entering the country, stating that his views on the country and his decision to become a Russian citizen constituted socially hazardous conduct. During his 2015 visit to the Republic of Azerbaijan, Seagal met with Ilham Aliyev, the country's longtime president. In the Nagorno-Karabakh War, which Azerbaijan and Armenia are embroiled in, he has spoken out in favor of Azerbaijan's territorial integrity. While I believe in free speech and everyone's entitled to their own viewpoint, I don't think it's right for them to utilize a venue like a football game to push their political views, Seagal said in response to professional athletes protesting during the United States national anthem. The supposed Russian meddling in the 2016 U.S. elections is another claim he casts doubt on. Seagal turned down a public challenge from former two-time world boxing heavyweight champion George Foreman for a mixed martial arts bout in Las Vegas that was supposed to go 10 rounds. Tom Morrissey, a former chair of the Arizona Republican Party, and Seagal collaborated on a 2017 self-published conspiracy thriller book titled The Way of the Shadow Wolves, The Deep State, and the Hijacking of America. Even though Seagal appeared to be involved in a significant project, he was once again the target of sexual harassment allegations. Seagal was accused by actress Portia de Rossi of sexually harassing her in 2017 during a film audition. She asserted that when auditioning in Seagal's office, he unzipped his pants and mentioned the significance of off-screen chemistry. On April 18, Katherine Heigl made an accusation during her appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live regarding Seagal's statement on the last day of filming Under Siege 2 about having girlfriends her age, then 16. While the film was on tour, Kimmel revealed a photo of Seagal's hand resting on Heigl's chest in a photo op. Several months down the road, Dutch beauty Fabiola Datus took to Instagram to come clean about her own history of sexual assault at Seagal's hands. Actress Rachel Grant made the accusation against Seagal of sexually abusing her in 2002 while they were filming Out for a Kill in January of the following year. She went on to say that the encounter was the catalyst for her dismissal from the film. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office had already announced in February that it was investigating allegations of alleged sexual abuse against Seagal. Not content with that, Regina Simons went public the following month with her claim that Seagal had raped her at his house in 1993, when she was 18 years old, while she was there for a wrap party for the film On Deadly Ground. After reviewing Regina Simons' allegations, prosecutors in Los Angeles decided not to press charges against Seagal in September 2018. Referring to the time limit that applies in California, Rachel Grant's case was similarly dismissed 2 months later for identical grounds. On February 27, 2020, Seagal was charged by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in relation to another scandal involving the advertising of bogus securities. His actual compensation for his unjust promotions, along with prejudgment interest, amounted to $157,000, which he was ordered to pay as disgorgement. On top of that, he was barred from selling securities for 3 years. Kane Hodder is just one of many former stunt artists who have accused Seagal of sexual harassment. The accusations have persisted throughout his career. Numerous people have claimed that he beat them on purpose while filming scenes. On the set of Out for Justice, an argument broke out between a stuntman and Seagal, who were both upset over the treatment of stunt performers. Although Seagal disputed the incident and accused the man of lying, others claimed the charges were accurate. Allegations of mistreatment persisted throughout Seagal's career, drawing even more criticism from men and women alike. As a result, they all avoided working with him in the future. During a visit to Kanema National Park in 2021, Seagal, who was serving as the special envoy of Russia's Foreign Affairs Ministry, presented President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela with a katana. The pro-Kremlin Systemic Opposition Party disclosed that Seagal had been presented with a membership card to the party on May 30, 2021, months later. Seagal celebrated his birthday in Moscow in March 2022 while Russia invaded Ukraine. International sanctions had an impact on some of the participants who had ties to Vladimir Putin. Many felt this move ran counter to the increasingly vocal global movement to cut ties with Russia. Vladimir Putin bestowed the Russian Order of Friendship upon Seagal on February 27, 2023, in recognition of his substantial contributions to fostering global cultural and humanitarian collaboration.